my friends, and right away I want to start by saying that despite all the statements from the Russians about wanting to reach Odessa, we have seen repeatedly that they understand they won't achieve their planned goals. What they managed to capture today comes at a very high cost. And while the Russians are preparing for another large-scale offensive as early as this summer, Zelensky has said that Kyiv understands what they are preparing for.
We clearly understand what Russia is preparing for, what they want, and what they will be drafting soldiers into their army for. And we, all of us, our partners, must have a strong response to Russian operations, any Russian operations. We must win this war. This is Ukraine's historic chance to thwart Russian revanchism, and we must seize it. For the sake of reliable security for our children. Today, Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky delivered a long and detailed report.
Overall, we are waiting to see how events will unfold further. But Stoltenberg said that for Ukraine to be invited to NATO, the war must end. And there must be guarantees that the war will not start again, friends. This seems like mockery. So everyone understands that the outbreak of war cannot be ruled out, but apparently not Stoltenberg.
Over the time when all criteria will be met, Ukraine will be a member of NATO. Thank you.
All allies agree that Ukraine will become a member. All allies agree that we need to continue to move Ukraine closer to NATO membership. We made important decisions last year. We are implementing those now with the removal of the membership action plan. We should not introduce something that is similar to a kind of second or two-step process. I think it's very important to maintain the one-step process for Ukraine to become a member, removing the requirement for membership action plan, and then ensuring that when an invitation is issued, then that's the same as becoming a member as it is in NATO. That's the difference between NATO and the European Union. In the European Union, of course, when you are invited, it can take years from an invitation to membership. While in NATO, when you are invited, it's something that happens very soon after. So we should just avoid creating also, again, a kind of two-step process towards membership. But regardless of the technicalities, there is a clear commitment for Ukraine to become a member. There's a clear commitment to help to move Ukraine closer to membership. And I think we also need to realize that when this war ends, everyone realizes that there has to be some kind of guarantees that this is really the end, that it's not only a pause where...
Overall, Stoltenberg's statement seems to suggest that they only need Ukraine if they won't have to defend it from Russia. Then it makes you wonder, why should Ukraine join NATO? So what do you think about all this? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's look at the situation along the front line, and let's start with the Bakhmut direction. Here, after yesterday's lull, the occupiers have resumed storming Klashivka and Andriivka. There is also heavy shelling in the area of Chasiv Yar. But there are no changes along the front line, and the occupiers continue to prepare for the assault on Chasiv Yar. But in the Avdiivka direction, it's the opposite. Yesterday, a large number of attacks were recorded, but today only shelling is observed. So it's clear that the Russians haven't succeeded in the areas of Berdychi and Umansk. Therefore, the front line remains unchanged, and today only shelling continues. By the way, the Ukrainian forces also successfully struck the occupiers, and yesterday a fire was reported at the coke and chemical plant. So there are no offensive actions in the areas of Peromaisk and Nevelsk either. Here, the occupiers also seem to have started regrouping, so we'll see how the situation develops further. In the direction of Mariinka, The battles for Novomykhailivka continue. At the same time, shelling is reported along the entire front line, and it's important to note that despite almost 2 months of offensive actions towards Georgiivka, the Russians haven't achieved any results. The settlement remains under the control of the Ukrainian forces, and they haven't been able to advance to Kurakhove. In the Vuhledar direction, shelling continues, and attacks on Urozhaine are still being recorded as before. However, the Ukrainian forces successfully maintain defense here, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Zaporizhia direction, yesterday's attacks in the areas of Robotyne and Verbove were unsuccessful for the Russians. And today they are not conducting any new assaults. Only shelling is recorded both along the front line and in the rear. So overall, it seems that the Russians have ended their winter offensive and are now accumulating reserves for the summer phase. In the Kherson direction, attempts to push the Ukrainian forces from the left bank are still ongoing. Attacks on Kherson and other frontline settlements also continue, but Russian war correspondents seem to be in despair.
Once, after our victory over the Kokliat neo-Nazis, a memorial was erected in the village of Krinky in honor of the 328th Airborne Assault Regiment of the 104th Airborne Division. After all, this is truly an immortal regiment. The regiment that keeps the Koklov in the village of Krinky. Yes. The regiment has already updated its personnel 4 times in almost 6 months, but the guys continue to keep Kokol in the village and do not allow him to advance further. And today, groups from the 328th Airborne Assault Regiment again terrorized the enemy in the village of Krinky.
As evident, the world's second largest army shamefully fails to dislodge the Ukrainian forces from the left bank, despite their overall advantage. In the Siversk direction, attacks have resumed, so the occupiers appear to have regrouped and are once again attempting to break through to Bilogorivka. They are also trying to expand their controlled territory in the fields near Spirne, and attacks on the village of Vyimka are also reported. So battles continue, and we await the outcome of the new Russian attacks. The front line remains unchanged over the past day. In the direction of Crimea, the occupiers continue their relentless assaults on the positions of the Ukrainian forces near the village of Terne. There is also heavy shelling, but the front line remains unchanged over the past day, and the Ukrainian forces successfully repel all attacks. In the area of Svatove, attacks have begun today, so several Russian assaults towards the village of Andriivka have been recorded. However, their chances of success here are minimal, so we await the outcome of these battles. In the direction of Kupiansk, there is a significant amount of shelling, both along the front line and in the rear. However, offensive actions are being taken and the front line remains unchanged. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, there is active discussion today about the upcoming elections in Ukraine. As a result, Poroshenko has become more active in communicating with foreign media. He has made several statements on his matter, and experts are already writing that Poroshenko has begun preparations for the elections.
Petro Poroshenko's interview for the Al Jazeera channel is another evidence that at a time when Ukrainians are waging war, Poroshenko is conducting his election campaign. Europeans say Putin is preparing a new major offensive in the summer. The armed forces of Ukraine say that the Russian Federation is forming a 100,000 military corps. 81% of Ukrainians say that they are against the elections to the war, because the enemy will use it against us. And Petro Alexievich says that he really wants elections. Of course. The Kremlin sincerely rejoices at Poroshenko's statements and intensifies the rhetoric about undermining Ukraine and the world. Do not give Ukraine weapons, there are no elections, Poroshenko is ready to run, the authorities are blocking him, the Russian Federation will be able to sit down at the negotiating table with Poroshenko, there is an illegitimate government in Ukraine. Although it is obvious that only those who play into the hands of the Russian Federation can say this now. Etc. Putin needs a destabilized Ukraine. And Poroshenko is doing a good job with it.
And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.